Good morning, friends. Spencer Love here of Love Wrestling, welcoming you to Cesaro's favorite dirt sheet, Love Wrestling. Good morning for you, Joe. Good morning to you, Parrish. It's good to see you guys for yet another Sunday brunch. Wherever you guys may be tuned in, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, don't forget to give us a like, a share, a follow, a subscription, a review, whatever it is, whatever you choose to do to support however you choose to. If you choose to, it's always appreciated. You can give us a follow at any of those links below as well. Today, we're going to be chatting some professional wrestling. We're going to be giving you a preview of what you can expect on the next week of content from us. But most importantly, we're answering your questions. We're here to chat with you guys more than we are here to chat with ourselves. So if you guys have anything to say, you guys got any comments, let us know. Feel free to hop in like our good friends at Wrestling Plug Inc. It's brunch time, baby. It's an especially early brunch, which is unfortunate for Parrish and I over here on the West Coast. It's a little too early for an alcoholic beverage, so Parrish, I kind of know how you're doing. We're going to move to Joe first. How are you doing, friend? Enjoying a tasty drink of your own.
I'm in a bit more of an Eastern time zone than you guys, so I'm good to go over here.
Good to see you, friend. Parrish, yourself, man, good to see you after beating you in the POS show last weekend to retain my Love Wrestling Elite Championship. How are you doing, man? How are things?
I'm still confused over WWE's booking, but other than that, I'm doing just fine.
Of course, our friend Maniac hopping in, a former member of Tag Struggle, good friend of the show, never too early for a beverage. We may need to take on a morning edition of Quizplex to really prove that theory right. I'm apparently stumbling over my words like I have, but it's just too early for me. Gentlemen.
Are you sure?
Back off. Yeah, jerk. Gentlemen, as always, we've got a general topic for today's show. Of course, while we're not answering questions from the chat, again, on YouTube, Facebook Live, or Twitch, the topic is celebrities in wrestling. And Joe, I'm going to let you introduce this one a little bit because it's one that I think we've all had over the last little bit, whether individually or whether on the Twitterverse. So give us a little introduction. Give us a little bit of your reasoning as to why you specifically wanted to chat about celebs in professional wrestling this morning on Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch.
Well, it's a topic. You know what? Now that I think of it, it may have actually been somebody else's idea, but I will take credit for it if you're willing to give me credit for it.
It was one of the two of you guys, but yeah. I will say I give Parrish credit for a lot of great ideas here. So if I'm throwing you a bone, then I'm throwing you a bone, however you choose to take it.
It's really hit and miss with me throughout the years because there's been some good celebrity appearances, whether it be in WWE or WCW or what have you. And then there's been some really, really, really bad ones. So it's something that I'm torn on because done properly, it can be very cool, cross promotion for both wrestling and for, mainstream, popular culture. And then there's just some times where it's, to give a recent example, Bad Bunny in WWE, that performance, that musical performance that he gave, in my personal opinion, was god awful. And then to see him rise up the charts in the merch sales, and then they want to use him supposedly for WrestleMania, I'm left sitting here going, I don't understand what's happening. But there's been some times where I think they've done a really good job. In retrospect, I know at the time. An example, David Arquette in WCW. I know at that time that was a very, very polarizing thing that happened there. But, years and years later, Mr. Arquette actually legitimately got involved into the world of professional wrestling, when legitimately got trained and, kind of redeemed himself to a lot of people. So it's one of those things where there's not really a right or wrong answer, at least in my opinion.
Well, and you're bang on there, man, which I think makes it a perfect discussion topic for this morning's Sunday brunch because, like you said, there's a lot of room for it. Of course, Maniac saying Parrish loves Bad Bunny. I'm sure we're going to get his thoughts on it because I genuinely do. I quite like him in this, but I don't want to take my platform quite yet because I want to open up the floor to, again, the comment section. I know I stress it, but we love chatting professional wrestling with the people watching. Wrestling plugging, Snooki is the GOAT of celebrity appearances. And it's another one that I think we would get a lot of discussion on because like you alluded to there, Joe, no right or wrong answer. Parrish, let's just get your general thoughts because I know you've been on the opposition side, opposed to a lot of celebrity appearances in professional wrestling, but for a lot of good reasons, like you've mentioned, and I know you're going to touch on. maybe it does take away a spot from an individual who may have earned that spot, and lack of a better way to put it. But I'm not going to take all your points for you. What are your thoughts on just the overall involvement of celebrities in pro wrestling?
Well, first off, if the whole idea is to bring eyes and translate the celebrity appearances to a different audience, then I'm all for it. Like, it's a completely different beast when the whole idea is trying to take another demo and bring it over to your product. I'm all for that. But I think you also have to look at how you're using the said celebrity. Like, I think too, like when I look at pro wrestling, I'm watching pro wrestling. I'm not necessarily watching pro wrestling to see celebrities wrestle. I want to see them come in, do their thing on the product, if anything. So when I see Bad Bunny come in, I just want to see him doing his performance. And if he's like maybe the host of WrestleMania or a performer to WrestleMania, I'm cool with that. But when he's in a match and he's in a feud that's, more talked about than, and you're not getting like the Buddy Murphys, the Apollo Crews, the Aleister Blacks, the Mustafa Ali's of the world, and they don't get an opportunity, then as a hardcore wrestling fan, I'm just wondering, what was the point of, why aren't you capitalizing on what these guys can do instead of just, and I get the whole dynamic of, what he's bringing more ice, he's making WrestleMania bigger, it's bigger payday for everyone, and that's all well and good. But for a lot of people, it's not always about money. They do want that opportunity, and they do want to pride themselves on having that chance. It's hard to be considered a true star in WWE if you don't get those opportunities or whatnot. And sometimes that could be either on the performer, on the company, or just a situational thing, and that's completely different. I don't hate Bad Bunny's inclusion. I'm just not a fan of him, and that's a completely different topic, because I do think like when Lawrence Taylor came in and had that main event match with Bam Bam Bigelow, that was a great match. But I also didn't care too much about wanting to see Lawrence Taylor wrestle. There's just a lot of celebrities I don't care. Like Stephen Amell also came in and did a tag match with against, I think he was with Neville against Cody and Barrett. And it was he impressed you, but at the same time, I'm watching wrestling to see the wrestlers. If I want to see the crossover, then I want to see these celebrities kind of do what they're doing, especially if they're musical acts or performers in their own right. If they're actors, then I just want to see them, kind of, play. Like when we saw Bob Barker doing The Price is Right and Jericho's wearing that name on bare skin, that was funny. But when Machine Gun Kelly came in and they allowed Kevin Owens just to powerbomb off stage, that was cool because I believe that. I don't believe Machine Gun Kelly can go in there and rock the house on these guys. So, and I know it's wrestling. I know we're taking believability to a whole different level, but at the same time, if they're not there to help give a superstar a rub or to help someone else, then I see it as a waste of opportunity.
And you had mentioned him too. I mean, not too long after that, Mr. Stephen Amell at All In with a match with Christopher Daniels, and I thought he did absolutely fantastic. I mean, Christopher Daniels, a veteran in our industry, even him giving him props at the end of that match. We had Mr. Pat McAfee going and getting trained with Rip Rogers. I mean, one of the best in the business. And, so there's some of these guys that, when they're going to do some in-ring stuff, they take it seriously. So that I can appreciate, as opposed to like somebody just looking for some attention.
Yeah, and that's just it too.
Yeah, no, you hop on the point, Parrish. You go ahead. I tend to ramble as well, so I've got a feeling I'll take us into the break in 10 minutes from it.
Well, as long as they take it seriously and they do the training at the very least, because I'm not, again, it's not my decision. I'm not the one who's in charge of saying, hey, you can and can't do this. If they want to do it, and that's completely up to the promoter. I'm not the promoter. It's not my decision. But as a fan, I can say whatever I want. And I do have a personal and a professional opinion. They're completely different on the whole subject. I know some people don't understand the difference, but I do. I can say as a fan, because I can separate myself as a fan, but then as a worker, I can be like, hey, you know what? I want that spot. I want that rub because I know this is more eyes on me. Hell yeah. I want, if I was in WWE right now, I'd be like, yeah, can I be the Damian Priest of this scenario? Hell yeah. Because even though I don't like Bad Bunny as a performer or like his music, I want the attention that he can bring because I know he's good at it. He's a very, there's no doubting why he's the number one merch seller. The guy has a boatload of fans. He's absolutely popular and successful in what he's doing. So obviously he's going to bring that to WWE. And if you haven't seen by choice, both him and Damian Priest are both Puerto Rican. So there's going to be a lot more like a Latino demographic watching the product just because of the two of them, mostly because of Bad Bunny, but it's also going to translate well in Damian Priest.
Yep. And I think you hit on a lot of good points there, Parrish, and Joe as well. I just remember a lot more of Parrish's. They were more recent. Bad Bunny for me is a perfect example of a celebrity appearance gone right. I can only obviously go off of what people I trust, like the guys at Fightful and all of that sort of stuff, say. But by all accounts, Bad Bunny, he comes in and he's worked hard, even just doing that spot at the Royal Rumble. He took it very seriously. You know, I can't speak for the mechanics, anything like that. And obviously, I mean this in a fully complimentary way. He looked like he was doing it for the first time when he was doing it, but he still approached it. He went gung-ho, and he has continued to do so according to all reports. Now, I don't know what the actual involvement in a wrestling match would be. To reference back to what Wrestling Plug was saying earlier, whether you like it or not, the way they handled Snooki in that match that she was a part of, it was pretty well done for what a celebrity could do in a professional wrestling sense, right? She was athletic. She didn't take a lot of shitty bumps. She didn't really have a lot of opportunities to present herself poorly. And if you do that with Bad Bunny, and like you say, Parrish, it continues to draw eyes to a guy like Damian Priest, who people have said as well, Vince has his eyes on as the next big Latin star. Great, because if that builds long-term success for him, then hopefully it does continue to build that long-term success for the entirety of WWE. When you've got guys like Eddie Guerrero in the past and other big Latin stars, those are the times WWE is making a lot of money. A rising tide raises all boats. And like you talk about with this WrestleMania, Parrish, hopefully it continues to bring higher paydays for a lot more WrestleManias going forward. It's been really nice for me. It's been really nice for me that, like, over the last little bit, okay, Snoop Dogg's splash was ridiculously bad, but it was still hilarious. I'll take that one as an outlier. But there haven't really been a lot of bad celebrity appearances for me in the last little bit. The last one that I didn't really like all that much was when the Saturday Night Live guys came on. But that is what it is. That's all, again, just down to personal opinion for me. I think that a lot of the recent celebrity appearances, whether it be Bad Bunny, whether it be Pat McAfee, like you talked about, they've all been great. They have all been examples of people who have taken it seriously. We haven't seen Jeremy Piven come out lately and call SummerSlam Summerfest, so I'm cool. Before I let you get to your point there, Parrish, and I do apologize, I just want to make sure we do get to the comments. If I'm going to encourage people to comment, Wrestling Plug in comments, to play devil's advocate, Murphy isn't bringing in the eyes of the money the Bunny is. That's hard not to put on the show. They said that they need to build that next star, that they can do that. I don't disagree whatsoever.
You know, Murphy's not that guy.
And that's exactly it. Is I think there have been opportunities in the past, like you've talked about, to make Murphy that guy. Like, one of the biggest missed opportunities for WWE personally in the last little bit was 2 years ago, I believe it was, maybe even 3 by this point, when they were looking like they were leading into Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. They were telling a fantastic story going into it. They did that whole, what I think was sort of the turning point of it, where they did that botched reveal with Rowan that sort of took it downhill for a lot of people. But going into that, like, Murphy looked great. He had a great match with Daniel Bryan the night after, or say the Tuesday, the SmackDown after SummerSlam. He had an excellent match with Roman Reigns, and he looked like he was poised. And then, like you say, whether it was McMahon, whether it was writers, whatever the situation may be that I can speculate on, it seemed like there was a missed opportunity there. Even recently, whether you liked it or not, the storyline with Alea and the Mysterio family was completely dropped, and I don't know why. So you guys are right. I think that there's a lot of merits on both sides of it. Murphy, right now, you're right, isn't equivalent to what Bad Bunny brings in, but it's not for a lack of talent. He's personally one of the most talented wrestlers in the world by my money. And it's not for a lack of trying, because anytime he's been in a storyline and had the opportunity to prove himself in ring or even character-wise, I liked what he was doing with Seth Rollins. He's hit it out of the park. I think that's just it's a bad way to put it, but just a shitty circumstance. I can't put it any better than that. Parrish, I'll let you get your thoughts in before we hop back to the comments, because I have cut you off a couple times. Sorry.
Well, it's completely okay. You do have to get your shit in too, right? But no, I mean, and like, that's a completely fair point by Wrestling Plug too, to play devil's advocate on there, because there's nothing wrong about that. Like, it's true. Bad Bunny does bring more eyes. But that's also because of what he did in a different market. Like it's also another thing too. Like if we're going to go that route, then why not just bring all celebrities in and just turn WWE into a celebrity company instead of a wrestler's company?
I bet they would.
I'm sure they would. We all know Vince doesn't like wrestling. I mean, even Edge flat out said, like, we on these shows we look at the E, not that second W. But I mean, with that being said, then give the fans what they want and put what they like to see as the wrestlers on those main rosters to the NXT and make NXT wrestling like true wrestling product and like just make that like, and I'm completely okay with that because there's an entertainment aspect around SmackDown that I get, and I'm gonna have to throw away like some of the things I want as a true wrestling fan on Raw and SmackDown just because they are more entertainment than wrestling. But if we're gonna go to that devil's advocate point, then put those guys like Murphy back down in the NXT and let them thrive in their actual like niche. Don't just put them up here, have them on the sidelines and kind of not do anything, and then they have to be on the sidelines and catering, like wondering why they can't get on a show. And then I'm not even saying, but I'm hearing nothing but great things about Bad Bunny backstage. But there is a part of me that wondered, hey, do these guys kind of want to be out there and contribute to the show instead of just being told, yeah, creative has nothing for you right now? Like I think there's pride out there for every wrestler that they want to be on the show and be a contributor and a major factor of the shows. And I don't think guys like Murphy or Ali, and I think Ali is a bit scripted when he says like, I don't want these old guys coming back. I want to be that next guy. Yeah. Let him carve a path too.
Absolutely. Now, Joe, we've got a comment in there that I'm going to get to after the break because I think it's a great next topic that we can lead into. So I'll let you get the final word on this. And then actually we are going to head to that aforementioned break. We want to show some highlights from Quizplex because Kyle Shaw hit some shit out of the park, ladies and gentlemen, that I really, really enjoyed and think you guys should see. So Joe, you've got the final word on just the general topic of celebrities in professional wrestling. We'll head to break, and then Maniac, we're going to get to your comment on Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch.
Well, I mean, before we end up going live here today, I mean, we're having a little discussion as we usually do pre-show here, and we had talked about long-term storytelling. And I think when the celebrities in wrestling, we can combine that with that, I think that's when it can get really interesting. For example, a really older school example, I'm going to throw up Roddy Piper and Mr. T. I mean, even years later at T's Hall of Fame acceptance speech, we still, as he was rambling on about how much he loved his mama, the camera pans over to Mr. Roddy Piper with his hand in his face, years and years later, we're still continuing, that feud, that storyline with these two guys. I mean, they could have even done something on the following episode of Raw if they wanted to. I mean, just that's the thing for me is if it can lead to some good long-term storytelling, and if it can help to not only get that crossover appeal, which I know is always the goal here, but to then also put the wrestling talent over the top to really get some mainstream attention as well. That's when I think you've really accomplished something with this.
I completely agree. Now, got to give a quick shout out to Caleb Fellers. He's a guy that I actually just started following a couple of weeks ago there on Twitter, and he's a great individual. So give him a follow if you've got the opportunity. Also has very good opinions, ones that I tend to agree with. I wasn't a fan of that Saturday Night Live skit. I'll also get to Maniac's question before we head to the break because it's one I want you guys to put a little bit of thought into. Best Disney villain you could bring in as a celebrity appearance. His vote goes to Gaston. So I'm going to eliminate that from either of your guys' picks. We're going to head to a quick break here. I want to show you guys that highlight from Quizplex. You guys are going to love it. Kyle Shaw was great. Everyone on Quizplex was great this week. So check that out. And we'll be back with celebrity Disney stars in professional wrestling on Love Wrestling's Sunday Brunch.
But your question, Kyle, on the WWF Aggression soundtrack, an album of wrestler theme songs reimagined by rap and hip-hop artists, who performed the rock tribute, Know Your Role?
That would be the Method Man.
Method Man is correct. Points for you. Great song, too.
Rockets come back to lay down the slack on the monkey, candy coated, candy ass. Enter the squared circle with the great one. Most electrifying moves don't touch the station. Children and their children, they all dance with the millions and the millions of the Rock's fans. Get ready for a square dance. Can ass whoop it from the people's tent if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Did you guys ever read the story that Jordan Peele tells about Method Man? I mean, I don't want to take up too much time, but it's pretty funny.
I'm sorry for the awkward lag and how long it took me, but Kyle, you have earned yourself a $10 gift card to Pro Wrestling Tees for rapping the lyrics to Know Your Role by Method Man. 100%.
Way to go, Kyle!
Yeah, quite literally one of my favorite things I have ever got to witness in professional wrestling. I did not expect that one bit, and Kyle just coming in, laying bars down. It was fantastic. Not only did he earn that $10 gift card, because I'm a man of my word, I'll absolutely get that, but Kyle Shaw went on to win Thursday Night Quizplex, earning another $25 to Pro Wrestling Tees. If you guys want the opportunity to be a contestant on Quizplex, our Patreons do get first right of refusal on those opportunities. So if you head over to the link that we've got scrolling across the bottom there, patreon.com/lovewrestlingca, you can support for as little as $1 and earn your way back 25 times that dollar you put in simply by answering some questions on Thursday Night Quizplex. Or you guys can join us on Sunday Brunch as we answer some questions like we are going to be doing here in our second segment. Maniac hopping into the chat. I gave you guys a little bit of time to think about it. I didn't get the same because admittedly I was laughing at the Canadian Goose again. So we're going to kick off the second half of Sunday Brunch with the best Disney villain you could bring in as a celebrity appearance. My vote is as Gaston. So I would have to assume that we're limiting this to heel-only roles. Joe, we kicked it off with you with the first segment. So Parrish, I'm going to move to you. Who would be your Disney villain of choice if you could have one make an appearance in the professional wrestling sense of things?
We're going to stay with my love at Bad Bunny, and I'm going to go Elmer Fudd.
I don't know if he counts. Are we going to count the Looney Tunes? I think we got to stick to Disney. We can expand.
We have a show that ripped off their logo. How can we not?
Hey, as astute of a point as that may be, we're gonna stick to Disney villains for the first little bit. We'll expand it to Looney Tunes after, but for right now, we're going to stick to the major Disney franchises. We'll allow the Pixar franchises as well, because I know that there's a little bit of split there. Maniac, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's an okay condition to be as well. So Parrish, we'll let you get back to that one because I sort of did take away your answer.
Kill
you can give us the right one now.
Okay. In fairness, how funny would it be for Elmer Fudd and R-Truth to go rabbit hunting? Come on. I just booked a backstage segment.
All right,
and it's funny.
Let's get your answer, and if you want a second to think, we do have a couple in the comments here that I can get to buy you some time.
Why don't we go to Joe first and then come back to me?
Sounds good, Joe. All you, and then we'll hop to Wrestling Plug because we'll just buy you as much as we can for you to sell, Parrish.
For myself, I'm going to probably really date myself on this one, but I'm going to go with the Sheriff of Nottingham from the Robin Hood.
Outstanding choice.
And I even know who you would use. I would put Mr. Baron Corbin in that role as the Sheriff of Nottingham. There you go.
That'd be fantastic. I think it would fit right in with, like, I've always questioned, and it's like a little half joke for me, but a serious one. I've never known if Baron Corbin was his name or a title. Like, his name could be like Baron Jeff Corbin, so he's been Baron Corbin, Sheriff Corbin, King Corbin,
I believe
Corbin. I just think he's trying to cycle through like every blue collar and white collar job that he can as a title, rather than admitting his first name's like Jeff Corbin.
I do believe I have to. Maybe I can research this and next week on the Sunday Brunch. I can kind of confirm that. But I believe in actual real life that he is an actual Baron by the literal definition of the word. So I'll investigate that and confirm whether it's true or not next week.
And he cooks a mean steak. I'm happy to put over Baron Corbin. I've got a lot more time for him than a lot of people do.
Yeah, he's arguably one of the better heels in wrestling, and I think that. There's this misinterpretation. People are like, he sucks. I hate him. Like, guess what? You're supposed to get that reaction to a heel wrestler. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And the end of days, I will always vouch for as, if not the best finisher in wrestling, 100% in the conversation. So, Parrish, you've had all the time in the world.
He also has a great theme song. Like, that's actually not like he has a banger theme song.
I do
and not
like
the one that's mixed with the King one, but like I Bring the Darkness is pretty solid.
Yeah.
But here's one: the new manager to Jinder Mahal, Jafar. Come on.
I like it. And
Jafar.
Jafar was a good villain. He tried a lot of like
Yeah.
underhanded, sneaky tactics too, like trying to close. I forget what it is. It's been years, but like the tiger cage, cat palace, whatever you called it, that came up from the sand. Like he just tried to sneak him in there, close it on him. That's a bold move, real bold move.
Here's
on
one.
Jafar.
Here's one too, though. You bring in Jafar though, and you have Humberto Carrillo be Aladdin. It would be funny.
I don't know. Maybe it's just I've soured on Humberto Carrillo. He was a 3rd round draft pick, I believe. If not 3rd, then 2nd round draft pick in one of the recent superstar shakeups, by the way. It's always fun to go through those few months later. As a sports fan, it's one of my favorite things to do is like Monday morning quarterback the draft, if you will. It's always fun to do those with WWE too, because you know how much like thought and placement they put into those rankings. I'll shout out a couple of conversations or a couple of conversation starters in here as well. Randall of Monsters Inc. or Chip Hicks of Cars, say Wrestling Plug Inc. Yeah, I like Randall. I got a lot of time for him for a lot of the same reasons as Jafar. A lot of just really traditional underhanded heel tactics. You know, not your traditional big hulking boss, which a great heel can be. I like myself a shifty heel. I like myself a sneaky heel.
Hey, speaking of what, though, I just want to jump in because I know we'll get to. Let me comment on Maniac's next comment, please.
Sounds good. I'll pull it up just so everybody can get the reference here. Pixar is owned by Disney. I'll allow it. Of course, if you're bringing up the topic of conversation, of course you get to make the rules. Typical Parish not following rules. I'll let you get back to your tag team partner on that one.
If he's allowing it, then it is part of the rules. So that's kind of not me going against the rules. Plus, we're talking heels, buddy. Heels don't follow the rules. So come on, I'm playing it by card.
And speaking of good, I'm not even going to try and translate. This is just a good comment. Wolf the Dentist Stanson of D2 the Mighty Ducks. I like that call. I absolutely like that call.
I was going to go with Julie the Cat because how dare she take the pipes away from Goldberg? That's the heel.
Fair call. A couple of picks that I would have to go with. Hades, obviously. I just think he was both entertaining and a great heel. Of course, his plan to get Hercules to age himself and die by putting Megara in Hades itself. Beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. And somebody who I don't know if they would be a great wrestler, obviously, but a great heel manager, Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think he'd be great.
There you go.
When you guys were talking about Baron Corbin, I saw like, hey, he's channeling his inner Scar a little bit because he's kind of the evil king. That's kind of what Scar was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Scar's got to be in the conversation for just greatest Disney villain of all time, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. Maniac was a great point as well. Don't forget all the Marvel Star Wars movies. I think if we were to include those, at least for me personally, you could name pretty well all of them because they've just got great villains like Thanos. Thanos would be a great heel. I think that's just an easy point to make. Darth Vader, ultimate heel. But you know who else I'd like to see? Cruella de Vil versus Alexa Bliss.
Wow.
Let's go with that. It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And I think that, again, if Alexa Bliss is sort of playing this evil babyface role, for lack of a better way to put it, like you're not going to find a more evil individual than Cruella de Vil. You could really, really get that one over. Really get that one over.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Ursula and Alexa Bliss, like before she was the Fiend one, just like the bitch Alexa Bliss. Man, that would have been a pairing.
Yep. Yeah, Alexa Bliss has also done some really great Disney gear before. Was that spot in the Royal Rumble last year in 2020 or 2019 where she had the Buzz Lightyear gear? Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yep. I love great gear. Johnny Gargano's an easy example. Rey Mysterio.
Can we just flat out say that Alexa Bliss should be in a Disney movie?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Probably could be.
Yeah.
And like I'm a sucker for the old school Punky Brewster, so very excited to see her and Charlotte pending this Peacock transfer. Ursula is a big duh, according to Wrestling Plug Inc. I agree. I mean that in a very positive sense. Ursula, all-time great heel. And then Caleb hopping back in as well. Kylo Ren versus Finn Balor. I like that. I like that. And if we're going to include the Marvel universe, I think it's just an easy one to make Venom versus Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talked about Wolf the Dentist. Who doesn't want to see him and Isaac Yankem kind of come together, eh?
I think that this will be the first and potentially the only time that Isaac Yankum gets a shout out on.
Who wants to see a crossover with them going up against the Decay?
See, that's not a bad one. Everybody, we're really only thinking WWE here. There were a lot of great options outside of WWE.
With female comparison, Britt Baker, BDS. We kind of have to go there. We kind of have to.
Britt Baker, the dentist from D2, and triple threat. I think there we go. You talk about cross-promotional dream matches.
You can't handle the two.
There you go.
Good night, everybody. You're not going to find any better on this edition of the Sunday Brunch. Joe, any thoughts on your end as well as I get away from Parrish and I dominating the conversation?
Well, I was just thinking if we wanted to go if we wanted to go the Looney Tunes direction, I have some good ones as well.
I do think we can take it that direction a bit. We've got some other stuff that we've got to preview.
Take it to the Looney Tunes.
I said we were going to get to it later. None of us ever disputed we would get to it later. Of course, though. Of course, if you guys are in the comments, we're happy to take any topics, any discussions, any cartoons, 80s movies, whatever. We can make anything about wrestling because, as one of my favorite Twitter accounts out there says, everything is wrestling. So if you've got anything that you can offer up, like our friend Caleb has with that very cool idea of Kylo Ren and Finn Balor, if you guys want to shout out your favorite Disney villains as professional wrestlers, whatever it may be, that's what we're here for on Sunday Brunch. We are here too, as advertised, chat celebrities in pro wrestling in some way, shape, or form, answer your questions, and, of course, give you guys a preview of what we've got coming up here on the network in the next week. You guys can stay tuned for another quick shot of that in about 10 minutes' time. But, Joe, we'll let you kick off the Looney Tunes subject. You're the one who made us transition in a very positive way over to it. So you can kick this one off, and I hope that you say Elmer Fudd and just steal her from Parrish.
Well, we're in the same universe, and since we are talking heel characters, I'm going to stay in kind of that same universe. And this one's I'm really dating myself and going back with this one because this was a character that originally debuted in like the late 1940s. I'm talking the fat opera singer Giovanni Jones, who didn't like Bugs Bunny playing the instruments, and of course one of the great cartoon episodes in Bugs Bunny history. And then of course my pick, and it makes sense when you think about it, because I think people think that the other character was actually the bad guy, but I gotta go with the Roadrunner, because the Roadrunner was clearly the heel out of him and the Coyote.
Is it because he was always running away?
All right, wrestling plug-in copping out as well. Marvin the Martian would be a low-key awesome IC title holder. Big time. Big time. I got a lot of time for aliens in cartoon. The Great Gazoo, a dream in there, but we'll move on to Hanna-Barbera a little later on in the program. I got a couple on it, Parrish. I won't steal Elmer Fudd, but I will take the second position on this one. A couple thoughts that I had. I think the greatest villain of all time, in my opinion, how anyone starts a conversation about great Looney Tunes heels and doesn't mention Snidely Whiplash. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Snidely Whiplash would be the greatest heel of all time. He would be the greatest bad guy of any sport he so chose to get into. You throw Snidely Whiplash in as a manager in UFC, yeah, he's bringing the heat no matter who he's going up against. I think Snidely Whiplash is a very good choice as far as that goes. And then if we're going to talk about great heel factions in Looney Tunes history, got to go Monstars. Have to go with the Monstars. I think there's a lot of room for a space ring or space squared circle, whatever you want to describe it as. Let's take Space Jam like the Air Bud franchise and just move it on to every sport. I would like to see the Monstars take the stuff, take the talent, whatever, I guess. I got it confused with Michael's secret stuff. Taking it from 5 professional wrestlers and then have them go up against like the Shield. Parrish, before I get to you, we're going to give a quick shout out to our friend Andre C. Of course, a guy who's done a lot of great work, not only supporting us, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but also supporting the Edmonton wrestling community, doing great work both on the backstage end for Real Canadian Wrestling and doing a lot of great podcasts over on Backbreaker Media. Andre, if you're just hopping in, I don't know when you did, but thanks for saying hello. The topic right now is great villains in Looney Tunes history that would make great wrestling heels. We're also here for the Wacky Racers talk. You got there before I did. Wrestling Plug Inc. in some way, shape, or form. Snidely was around before, but he did a great job in him. Maniac Tom Segura as Mystic Rick versus Ric Flair. I've got nothing better to add to that. That's just an outstanding shout. Parrish, You're up. Great Looney Tunes villains that would be great professional wrestling heels.
Well, I don't know if it'd be great heels, but I mean, give me the love story between Nikki Cross and Tasmanian Devil for one. That'd be fantastic. And then also, I want to see Penelope Pussycat bring back the Iconics. I think that works.
Yeah, that's an excellent call. Excellent call.
And then, go ahead.
I have another good one too now, because I'm Googling this as we're kind of doing it. I don't know what his name was, but I know that the little sidekick's name was, there's that oil tycoon character and his sidekick named Maverick. They would be like a good heel kind of duo. Those two, that's a really obscure Looney Tunes reference for you guys there.
You know who else I think could work really well is a heel, excuse me, is Scrappy Doo. He could play almost the role Seth Rollins was doing in like the annoying, mouthy, overly positive. I just have a real dislike for Scrappy Doo already, to be quite honest with you. So
Spike Dudley could play Scrappy Doo.
Hey, I like Spike Dudley. I've got him actually literally on my dream list of people to interview. Wrestling Plug Inc. And I always love the thoughts. If you guys are in there, please keep offering them as wholeheartedly as our good friends over there do. And make sure you guys support them. I know they're watching on YouTube. Ergo, they have a YouTube channel. Throw them a subscription. Head over and support them on Facebook. And, of course, while you're there, show us some love, too. You can find all of our social media tracking along the bottom. But back to the point, Pepe Le Pew versus Angel Garza. Heck yes, I'm in for it. I don't even think you've got a heel in that one. I just have a soft spot for Angel Garza. In the best way possible, because it's not that he's bad at it. I just have such a hard time buying him as a heel after watching him propose to his girlfriend, now fiance on NXT. Seems like a great human being. Hard for me to accept a guy that cool, that great as a bad guy for all of the right reasons. He's still a damn good heel in all of the wrong ways. You know what I mean?
I mean, we've seen Shelton Benjamin have his mother on the show, but I think one that would fit is Sami Zayn bringing his granny onto the show. And I'm picking Granny to be the Liberator's grandmother.
Wow.
I think that would be hilarious.
That's a stretch. That's an absolute stretch. I could see Granny's an eternal babyface, but I guess to your point with Sami Zayn, I thought the same about him. Maybe Granny would be an effective Rudo.
Think about this though. Sami Zayn is such a bad guy, but you have Granny like trying to like straighten him back or like bring him back to the good. But then somehow he just convinces her what he's doing is right, and then she's like always there supporting like a good old Granny. She's always there for, and then she's kind of evil by association.
See what you could do again too with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You could have them being Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
There's also part of me that wants. There's also part of me that wants to see like Tweety and Sami Zayn interact. So I think that would be really funny.
There you go.
Man, I think we've still got a lot of legs on this topic because I'm still getting a lot of thoughts coming to my head. I do want to make sure we're consistent in our break intervals. If people are relying on us every 20 minutes to retop up their beverages, grab some more food or whatever it may be that they choose to do in the minute and a half that they've got, then let's be consistent. We're right on the 40-minute mark. So let's show you a highlight from my upcoming interview with one of Canada's greats, in my opinion. Before I do so, I'll apologize for the internet lag. Hopefully you can still at least hear me as I throw my head back and laugh ever so beautifully. Hair flowing in the wind. But let's get back. Thank you. But let's get back to when my hair was shorter, but my interviews were hopefully still worth tuning into. We're going to show you a highlight from my recent chat with Artemis Spencer coming up right here. Stay tuned through the break, friends. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned Kyle O'Reilly. He's a perfect example of someone who maybe on the NXT or WWE level, same sort of thing, has been referred to as a bit of an underrated player or something along those lines. How cool is it for you to see someone that you trained with, worked with consistently, really breaking through at the major levels of professional wrestling?
I've been watching wrestling for like a long time, right? And like like as much as I still like enjoy pro wrestling, I find it's hard sometimes for me to like watch it as a fan. Like I'm always kind of dissecting it and kind of like analyzing it, not enjoying it as much as I used to. But when I saw Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor, I was a total fan again. Like it was the first time I had goosebumps in years and years and years. And like, you know, that was one of the best matches I've seen. And like, not only because like I love Kyle and we kind of came up together, but like that was one of the best matches I've seen in years.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more with you there. It is a PG rated show, but any good Kyle O'Reilly stories you can share from back in the day?
Nothing not PG, but like, yeah, I don't know, just like lots of good memories with that guy. You know, like we would hang out and party and drink, and he's just like one of the most genuine, kind of honest, funny dudes that you'd ever really meet. You know, yeah, nothing wild or wacky, but just like when you see that like genuine, sweet, hardworking guy on TV, that's absolutely who he is.
Hi, I guess we're back for this whole thing. So we were talking Looney Tunes and wrestling, and I also have another one. I would love Lotso Hugging Bear to be a part of the WWE universe, and I actually think like that would be a little good like evil genius right there. So that's another one I got.
For me, another one would be like Yosemite Sam. He's a really good heel character, right? Although it'd be a little risque to do these days, given how borderline offensive I guess he would be currently. But
out of question, Joe, like, is Spencer reacting on yours? Because I just see that like this really creepy smile on his thing right now, and it's kind of funny.
Well, and hopefully you guys can at least hear me. Hopefully you can at least hear me. I have no idea what's going on with the internet right now.
Hilarious.
These are what they call. These are what they call in the business technical times, I suppose. I think I've caught up now. I again apologize for the internet issues. However, I don't apologize for leading into it and out of it. That in between it, you got a preview of a great interview that I got to do with Artemis Spencer, a great human being. I'm very lucky to get the opportunity to speak with a lot of them. But if you guys have ever watched him wrestle, you know that I don't have to stress how good of a pro wrestler he is. Check him out anytime you've got the opportunity. There's a lot of great stuff on YouTube you can find of his, whether again through Backbreaker Media or through any of the various channels out there from BC's wrestling scene. I hope I didn't slow down or anything like that through that part of the conversation.
You were good that time, but I mean,
we might need to bring in Speedy Gonzalez to help you out there, Spencer.
Yeah. Slow motion Spencer is hilarious.
Or Cecile the Turtle. Hi, I'm Spencer. Can you guys hear me?
Look at that turtle go, bro.
Oh, my hole.
Oh.
Well, of course, if you guys see me slowing down on the internet, and please feel free to hop in so that I can just react in slow motion to whatever you guys are saying. But we were talking about Looney Tunes. We were talking about cartoon characters. We were talking about anything outside of real physical people, I suppose, being involved in professional wrestling, leading off of our earlier topic of celebrities in pro wrestling. So we'll continue on Looney Tunes because that's where we left off heading into the break. Joe, I believe we had even left off with you. So I'll let you carry on the conversation. Of course, if we're going to give myself the opportunity to put myself over throughout this show and through showing clips like with Artemis Spencer, let's make fun of me. Like, give him the bro sleep, dude. Yeah, it looked like I took one a couple of times. Andre C. hopping in. I know he's not Looney Tunes, but have Rocky the Flying Squirrel versus Ricochet. That's a great well.
Oh, that's a good one.
Bullwinkle, any of that Hanna-Barbera stuff, it's all fully on the table. It's Sunday Brunch. And I know that everybody on the conversation, as well as everybody in the chat, perhaps sometimes at 10 in the morning after staying up and watching New Japan at least what was midnight our time last night, and a heck of a show if you got the chance to check it out now. Maybe the brain cells aren't functioning at 110% this early in the morning for some people. Maybe internet issues are a little bit for the reason of me looking a little slower than usual. Maybe it's a combination of both, but anything is on the table on Sunday Brunch. It's a casual, laid-back setting where not only will we chat with all of you and ourselves, but we'll put ourselves over. We'll show some cool stuff that you can expect this week in Love Wrestling. Let's get back to the conversation at hand. We're going to move to another great one from Andre C. because I know he mentioned earlier in the comments that he's on his break at work. I don't know when that ends, but let's give him all the shout-outs we can. Fred Flintstone versus Braun Strowman. I think that might be a bit of a competitive match. Yeah. Much more opposed to what my initial thought was on it. And that man, Braun Strowman and just absolutely dominate Fred Flintstone. He may be shorter. I think Braun's got the size advantage, but Fred Flintstone's a stocky, buff caveman. I think he's got a real fighting shot in that one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'd rather see Flintstone against Rusev, to be honest.
See, that's, I can see that one. I got a lot of time for all of the Flintstones. The easy one for me to make is Bam Bam versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
There you go. Yeah.
Actually, mine would be Bam Bam against Tyler Bate, because those guys are like super embarrassing. Like just young studs that are just absolutely stronger than you think.
Or if we're on the Hanna-Barbera territory, like I could see WWE doing a version of like Wacky Races.
Well, of course, I'm just going through right here. Wrestling Plug, giving that shout out early as well. I'm here for the Wacky Racers talking. Hey. Admittedly, you getting me in on wanting to watch a little bit of that today after the Sunday brunch, and I head to work for a few hours. I got a lot of time this afternoon for some wackiness in my life. Got to give a quick shout out as well to Maniac in the comments. Not only is he offering up matches, but he's building feuds for us. Johnny Bravo versus Johnny Wrestling because he was hitting on Candace. I think it's fantastic. I know I missed one as well in the comments there as well from our friends at Wrestling Plug Inc. Shaggy and Riddle as the tag team champions. Yeah, I've got time for that, and you almost do that as a bit of a play on the Dusty Cup in 2020, where maybe they go up against an uber serious, talented team like the grizzled young vets. And I'll get my.
You know what the funny thing is with this is I could actually see WWE doing something like this, and they could like play up like the Scooby Snack angle, where Riddle's just like he's oblivious to what's going on. He's all paranoid and stuff.
It could be one of the things like he was doing, like a couple of months ago, where he was offering like the bro yogurt, or whatever it was. Somehow bringing the Scooby Snacks for a sponsored partnership. Yeah. Sidetrack, by the way, I saw that Axl Rose made a cameo on the newest episode of Scooby-Doo, which there are two fun facts for you. New episodes of Scooby-Doo, and they got Guns N' Roses now. They're with it and hip, as I believe they're saying now. Parrish, it's your turn to give a shout.
I'm yelling at everyone.
Love it. You know what? I'm going to go back. For us, Plug Inc. is going to shout out Marvin the Martian. I know I shouted him out then, but let's have an intercartoonal feud. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm trying to play off the interpromotional. Let's go the Great Gazoo versus Marvin the Martian for the IC Championship if we're going all in with this. There's going to be some people watching back later and say, I probably will never watch the Sunday Brunch. What an unserious take on professional wrestling. And to those people, I say, damn right. This is not a very serious show. We're happy that you don't like us because we're happy that there are very unserious and wonderful people like Wrestling Plug Inc. who want to see IC title feuds with Marvin the Martian involved.
Go.
It's also 10 a.m. where we are. We're not going to talk about anything that's truly serious at 10 a.m. Like, to go back I'm wearing turtle pants right now. Like, give me a break. I still have pajamas on.
Well, and there we go. We could go back to the Monstars versus TMNT if we want to again go off of the interpromotional and go off of the cartoon factions right there. Going back to Shaggy, we've got they could take on Randall and Miss Finster from Recess. Now we're getting intergender with all of these. Where they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point.
I want to see 3MB somehow stuck in an interturtle realm.
Sometimes I just like touching my hair because I think it's long and luxurious. I haven't had long hair in years. I ain't going.
Okay. I know it's 10 a.m., but the things we can go with that comment are amazing.
Oh, well, and I was going to tie it all together, and after Brutus the Barber with the CWE, I don't have a lot of trust in him on proverbially doing the job at the end of the day. But we'll leave that to that. That's not my story to tell.
Speaking of drugs, back to Riddle.
Paul.
But I would love to see Riddle on the Jetsons because I don't think there's a place he can even go that's higher.
I think, and somebody can fact check me on this one because I'm very bad at live fact checking.
WWE did a thing with the Jetsons.
Looking like, well, and I was going to say, if I remember correctly, like we are already in the year that the Jetsons was based on. Like they were in 1960 or whatever when the show started, and the future was supposed to be in 2020, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there, though, because I know every year somebody forwards me a meme of, hey, this is the day they went back to and back in the future, when that's just patently untrue as of, I think, last year now.
Yeah.
Again.
I don't.
It's okay. I just want to keep going on the cartoon talk, and I'm finding ways to extend it so that we keep getting great comments like we do from Andre.
That's actually good.
For Sunday Brunch. This is a very, very good one. Egon from Ghostbusters versus Bobby the Brain Heenan. Bobby the Brain Heenan, now you guys would have more insight into this. How often did he actually wrestle a match?
I don't believe that he he took the occasional bump here and there, but I don't believe that he ever worked a quote-unquote match.
And again, if somebody can fact check us, we are happy.
Was he not part of a couple tags and handicaps though over his time?
I feel like a lot of managers like have tackled those off, whether you're a guy like Bobby the Brain or whether you're someone else who's maybe not a legend. But I was actually going
to go with Ghostbusters versus Evolution. By the way, I thought that would have been fun.
I really, really like it. I will caution as well here, ladies and gentlemen, both in the chat and on the broadcast. We got about 8 minutes left here on Sunday Brunch. So if you guys have any wild and wacky ideas, whether they're races or whether they're just feuds that you guys want to see, feel free to throw them in there. We always try and stick to our match times here. We always inevitably go over. So I figured I'd throw out the warning early because let's call it in the ring and let's call it for everybody to see here in the comments. Okay, edit Egon versus the genius Lanny Poffo.
Interesting.
I do like that one too. I've got no issue with making Bobby the Brain wrestle if we so choose to fantasy book.
It would probably be a better team as opposed to going against each other. Egon and Lanny Poffo versus say another team.
I have a feeling this is going to be a comment or a conversation that keeps coming up when we do these Sunday brunches. I think a lot of people like cartoons, a lot of people like pro wrestling, and a lot of those things mix well with Sunday mornings. Why not continue it?
Oh, I got a good cross for one. Sylvester the Cat versus Stimpy. Cat versus Cat. There you go.
Oh, throw Alley Cat in there too. If we're gonna keep going with triple threats and all that, we're throwing Alley Cat in. We'll throw Natalia in there because she's a good ring vet. Not that Alley Cat isn't.
What about Stacey Carter? What's Stacey Carter, the actual cat?
And then we can also throw in the cat from the Paula Abdul Opposites Attract video as well. If we're just gonna go everywhere with that. Wrestling Plug Inc., who again, we've got to just give a quick thank you to for being so active in the chat, not just today, but as always. If you guys do have comments, we love shouting you out. We love when they're in there often, and we love when they're this great, like the Animaniacs for the Trios division.
Yes.
I know I butchered that because I was running out of breath, so let's give it the proper shot.
3MB versus the Animaniacs. Animaniacs against 3MB. Come on.
I would absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And if you guys are in the comments, as mentioned, get your final shots in, folks, because sooner rather than later here, I'm going to let these fine gentlemen, as well as myself, plug what we've personally got coming up here on Love Wrestling and where you can keep track of us here in the near future. Parrish,
I have one.
I have one. Yeah. I was just going to say, if there are more coming in the comments, we may cut you off at some point here, like I am going to do real quick, and just say a quick goodbye to Andre. Thanks for tuning in, man, especially when I know you pay so much attention to so many great people in professional wrestling. So thanks for tuning in for us, man. It was good to see you and hope to see you next week. Enjoy your work day. Parrish, I apologize. Back to you for what your final cartoon, I suppose we can just expand on at this point. Your favorite potential cartoon crossover in
I don't know if it was a cartoon, but they are Disney characters, and that's Tom and Huckleberry Finn versus the Hardy Boys.
Okay. I could see it. I could see it. And on that note, I will let you start to plug your stuff. Again, this ain't the end of the conversation. Let's just start to wrap it up. Where can people keep track of you, Parrish? Online, whether it's wrestling, wherever it may be.
If you check down below, you see my Twitter at Chris Parrish. It flat out says, if you follow me, you will not agree with me on anything because I'm able to keep my personal and professional opinions separated. Also, Chris Parrish on my Instagram, creator of the Parachute on Twitch, which I'm hoping to start up sometime soon. And then anything else, just come to lovewrestling.ca, where Spencer and I are killing it on the POS show, and Sunday Brunch is, well, let's just say it's Sunday Brunch. So yes, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Joe, I'm going to lead it on to you to let people know where they can keep track of you and let people know what they can expect on this week's Turnbuckle Rewind, which, of course, you can catch every Thursday on Love Wrestling, whether on YouTube, whether audio, whether on the site itself. Joe, give them that plug, because after you do that, I'm going to lead into everything that you can schedule into your calendar for this week on the site.
I say, I mean, as usual, I have quite a bit going on doing this basically on a weekly basis now. Our other show, Turnbuckle Talk, you can see the fine logo in my background here. I mean, the usual conversations that we have over there. I mean, there's quite a bit of breaking news and things happening in the business. So we're going to touch on quite a bit of that, some new signings, some people moving around. For Turnbuckle Rewind this week, we have an interesting one lined up here for you guys. We're going to go into Ring of Honor, and we're actually going to be looking at Marty Scurll's debut match in Ring of Honor versus Dalton Castle over in the UK, over in Liverpool specifically. That's going to be a fun match to break down, and looking forward to you guys watching along and listening to that with us. And, of course, to find everything that I've got going on, you can see beside my name there at TV Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can see everything that I'm up to.
And, of course, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a preview of what you can expect from all of us here on Love Wrestling in a second. But, of course, we encourage comments. Let's give them all shout-outs when we got the opportunity. Courage the Cowardly Dog versus The Miz because, well, you know. And I think that is a great place to leave that conversation off, at least on my end for the day. If you guys still have comments, we're going to keep reading them. I'll keep shouting them out on the show. But I also do want to give you that advertised last look at what you guys can find on lovewrestling.ca this week. Of course, Monday, you've got Poetry of a Promo. That is lovingly hosted by Mr. J. He does a great job, so make sure to check that out. Tuesday, Dream Slam is back. Ferris has a great episode lined up for you. You guys saw the preview and heard the preview for both Artemis Spencer and Turnbuckle Rewind. So make sure to stay tuned to that, as well as all of the great content that you can check out on lovewrestling.ca. As far as myself, I'm at Spenny Love. Send me a message. Shoot me a tweet. I love chatting pro wrestling. Everything else you can find at lovewrestling.ca or at lovewrestlingca on all your favorite social media or website platforms. Friends, we're going to give a couple of quick shout outs to the comments. Ben Omen hopping in a little bit late, but give him a quick shout out as well. Give him a follow. And of course, give him a subscription on YouTube. Bump his numbers up because he is a great human being and you should pay some attention to him as well as all the great people here in Albertan professional wrestling. Hello, Ben, says Maniac, and hello, Maniac. Thanks once again for tuning in. It's always appreciated the support you give us, whether it's here, whether it's on the POS show, or whether it's just giving us a retweet, as well as everybody else who is kind enough to do so in the comments. As I mentioned, if you want to continue to do so, the socials links are all at the bottom. And let's close it out with a plug from a great person for a great person. Dream Slam is amazing. I 100% agree. And I know that you're going to love the episode this week, as well as all of the great content on Love Wrestling. For Mighty Joe, for Chris Parrish, I'm going to let you guys close it out with a quick preview of a Poetry of a Promo, and we are going to close her out after that.
Welcome. I am your host, and this week is a rather, one could say, rebellious episode. I will begin with a hint as to who today's subject is. Do I have everybody's attention now? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We will be looking into the depths of Mr. C.M. Punk. Arguably one of the best wordsmiths in recent memory, if not all time. Feel free to debate me on that, or don't.
That is the next you will hear from Love Wrestling. This is the last you will hear from us. For Mighty Joe, for Chris Parrish, I've been Spencer Love. Thank you for checking out Sunday Brunch. We'll see you next week.